Hello and welcome back to the channel for some more Three Houses content. No, this is not my big why you should play video, and it is also not part of the Fire Emblem week I'm probably going to do after I complete the entire game, but I wanted to do something between now and when I complete every path to reflect on the path I just completed. That leads to this video, where I will be outlining my thoughts and highlights from my just completed run of the Black Eagle's Three House path. A warning to anyone who is watching this video, though. There will be spoilers, specifically for this path, but also likely for Three Houses in general. If that does not deter you, then keep on watching, but know that you have been warned. It feels strange to say this for a playthrough that took me 45 hours to complete, but it went by so quickly. This is due in part to the fact that Three Houses is a great game, but also because the Black Eagle's path, Crimson Flower, is the shortest path chapter-wise in the entire game, something I didn't know going into it. I'll get into my thoughts from my playthrough later on in the video, but I want to start with my expectations for this path going in, and how they lined up with how the path turned out. I played this path on normal difficulty classic mode. I'm okay, but not great at Fire Emblem. I had maybe 3 or 4 instances where I had to use the Divine Pulse to save a unit, but otherwise it was smooth sailing. I chose the Black Eagles mainly because of Edelgard, since her design was the most striking to me out of all the main lords. The rest of the class helped as well, with several characters I knew from the start I was going to love, like Petra and Bernadetta. Given Edelgard's time skip design and the numerous jokes about a new Daenerys, I thought it likely that this would be a darker timeline than some of the other paths. I can't compare this one to the others just yet, but I imagine that holds true. This path had quite a few dark moments, which will definitely come up later. And so, on the whole, I really think this path lined up well with my expectations. Not to say there weren't any surprises, but I had a pretty good idea of what was going on when I started it. One thing I wasn't aware of with the Black Eagle's path was that it is from this path that you can access the fourth path, the Church of Seiros path. While I didn't even come close to picking the decisions that would have led me down that path, I wish I had known that at the time, because then I would have made a save file just before the decisions, so I wouldn't have to play through all the stuff before the path divergence. Alas, I was too busy ensuring the safety of my Flame Emperor to even glance at the Church's path. Now though, it is on to what my team looked like at the end of this run. I recruited 4 students from other houses to the Black Eagles. From the Blue Lions, I took Ingrid and Annette, and from the Golden Deer, I took Marianne and Lysithea. All great choices in my mind. For faculty, I recruited Shamir early on, and also grabbed Manuela and Hanneman, because I could. I only had one character leave the house over the entire playthrough, and that was Flayn after I sided with Edelgard against the Church. It's too bad, because I liked Flayn. At least I didn't kill her after defeating her later on, since she runs away and hides with Sedith. Unit-wise, I had many great units at the end of my run. The final team and their classes were Byleth as the Enlightened One, Edelgard as Emperor, Ferdinand as a Paladin, Bernadetta as a Sniper, Dorothea as a Warlock, Linhardt as a Holy Knight, Petra as a Falcon Knight, Annette as a Warlock, Ingrid as a Falcon Knight, Lysithea as a Warlock, Marianne as a Dancer, and finally Shamir as a Bow Knight. That meant bench positions for Hubert, Caspar, Hanneman, and Manuela. It may be true that I didn't have much class diversity with my units, but hey, it worked out, right? The top 5 units by kills in ascending order for me was Edelgard, then Dorothea, then Petra, then Bernadetta, and finally Byleth. I was a bit surprised Bernadetta was so high, but those 5 make sense considering they were with me from the very beginning. Edelgard, though, surprisingly only barely beat out Ingrid for that 5th spot despite participating in several more chapters. All of my final units, minus perhaps Ferdinand, were incredibly good units. I do want to especially note Marianne as a Dancer because she was fantastic in that role, especially since she could keep her magic while doing so. She was the ultimate utility unit, able to heal, attack with her magic or Levin sword, and dance. Very versatile. Character-wise, as I said, Edelgard, Petra, and Bernadetta were all ones I had a strong feeling I would like from this path. For those who don't know, Bernadetta had to be a favorite character since she has purple hair. I like all the purple-haired Fire Emblem characters, with one exception. And possibly another in the Three Houses cast. Most of the characters, though, were fantastic. I love these characters to the point that my top 10 character list is already looking full after just one path completed. I'll save my Edelgard thoughts for the end, but here's a quick breakdown on each character and my thoughts on them. These will only include the Black Eagle's regular students and the 3 faculty members I recruited. I'll get to the others in future videos. Petra is a goddess in pixel form. She's passionate, intelligent, and charming. I kind of wish I had chosen her to marry in-game. Bernadetta is a dramatic introvert, and as a dramatic introvert myself, she is a highly relatable character for me. She also was one of the funniest characters and was simply a joy to interact with. Hubert is just kind of there. I don't dislike him, and he has some surprisingly good comedic moments, but otherwise he's rather unremarkable. Ferdinand at his best is great, a truly noble and kind person, but you have to get past that stuck-up part of his personality first, which sinks him in my view versus all the other cast members. Dorothea, I was a bit iffy on at first because I thought she'd just be flirty all the time, but her support showed there is so much more to her than that. She is a bold and considerate character with a great backstory and motivation for why she lives the way she does. Linhardt was a standout character as well, with his attitude clashing with so many of the other characters in interesting and amusing ways. He's also truly sweet in his best moments, even if apathy is his default state of being. Caspar was enthusiastic and also kind. He's a good character, but I'm just not sure he's all that deep beyond his positive attitude and work ethic. Shamir, my wife in-game, definitely has an intriguing backstory, and I like her straightforward attitude. She's already faced down her past and come to terms with her situation. She is a well-adjusted adult, which unfortunately meant her support suffered a little bit due to their lack of conflict. Manuela was a disappointment for me because she was such a one-note character. It was only about her desire to find a partner. That was her entire character, it seemed. Hanneman was just there. There's probably more to him, but I just didn't unlock it because he was the least used member of the entire army. That brings us to the final character, the Lord of this Path, Edelgard. I love Edelgard. She is a visionary and determined leader whose backstory is heart-wrenching and has moments of pure adorableness and compassion interspersed among her commanding presence. Her devotion to Byleth is just as fierce as her desire to expose the truths of the Church to the world and unite Fodlan, and that made her impactful at the very least. She is also, though, perhaps the most morally gray lord the Fire Emblem series has ever had, which actually made me love her character more because of how well it was written. She is a capable deceiver and commits several questionable acts in the pursuit of her lofty goal of unifying Fodlan to pursue peace. She allies with dangerous enemies and is indirectly responsible for Geralt's death and many others. Her actions, though, lead indisputably to a more unified world and peace, at least according to the final scene of her path. She is using her power to make the world a better and more egalitarian place, and it's no wonder she inspires such devotion in her followers, both in-game and real life. Edelgard has great supports across the board, and they just made me want to spend more time with her as a character. Definitely a standout lord in the Fire Emblem series. Dimitri and Claude certainly have some big shoes to fill in the next paths. Now though, it's time for some critiques of this path. There aren't many, but there are a few, and I will start with the Emperor herself, Edelgard. As much as I adore her, it does feel like her character arc was very flat. She was rarely challenged in the ways that I'd expect while working with slime like Lord Arundel, and challenging the most dominant force of Fodlan for the last 1,000 years. This mainly came into focus because of my biggest complaint with this path. It ended too early. It ended without us getting the satisfaction of casting that smug, abusive horror of a person, Lord Arundel, back into the underworld where he crawled out of. The character endings for Hubert, Byleth, and Shamir included references to wiping out those who slither in the dark, but it was not the way I wanted that storyline to end. I wanted to crush those cretins myself. They caused the deaths of those in Ramire village. They tortured Edelgard and Lysithea to get them to have 2 crests. They killed Geralt, and we have to be content with them being snuffed out in the character endings? This pathway would get a top grade from me if we had at least some chapters devoted to stamping out those wastes of Fodlan's resources, especially since they set it up with the attack on Arianrod to take out Cornelia from that organization. You couldn't have extended it a few chapters more to give us that satisfying end? I guess not, and I think the path suffered for that omission. It was such a good path that this absence sticks out like a sore thumb, but alas, that's how it goes sometimes. Here's my final thoughts. The Black Eagles path held fantastic characters, plot, and battle moments throughout the journey, and it did feel like a journey, a very worthwhile one. I do have issues with the aforementioned Lord Arundel stuff, but otherwise this was a very well written and performed route. A great first impression for Three Houses as a game, which again I won't get into final thoughts about until I've completed the paths, but it's looking great so far. This path reminded me of what I wanted from the Conquest route from Fates, a morally gray path where you're working from inside a broken system to make a better world for everyone. Edelgard was the perfect lord for this route, and I can't wait to get into the next path. For the next path, I plan on playing the Golden Deer path on hard classic mode, so wish me luck, me and my not so good Fire Emblem playing skills. I've also set some personal restrictions where I have to have every character not be part of my army on at least one pathway. That means no Annette or Ingrid for this next run, and any Black Eagles I recruit this time won't be available to me for my Blue Lions path. Should be a fun time, and I'll see you all on the other side with Claude and his band of merry mortals. I couldn't think of a better term. Let me know in the comments how your playthroughs of Three Houses are going if you're also playing, and any standout characters for you. What are your thoughts on the Black Eagles and Edelgard? Please leave a like if you enjoyed the video and subscribe for more gaming content. I hope you have a great day, and happy gaming.